Edward Cullen and Jacob Black are fictional characters from the Twilight series who compete for the love of Bella Swan. While Edward Cullen is a vampire, Jacob Black is a werewolf. Some references to men changing into wolves can be found in ancient Greek and Roman mythology. Ovid and Virgil both wrote of men turning into wolves. Famous appearances. One of the most famous vampire stories is Bram Stoker's Dracula, and this novel inspired many elements of the modern vampire. The latter half of the 20th century saw many vampire epic novels, such as Anne Rice's popular Vampire Chronicles. More recently, vampires have appeared in many dark romance and paranormal romance series as sympathetic anti-heroes. These series include Twilight, The Vampire Academy, Anita Blake, Vampire Hunter, and True Blood. In films, vampires appeared in the German silent film Nosferatu, which was unofficially based on Dracula. The film and TV series Buffy the Vampire Slayer made vampires part of the popular culture in the 90s and early 2000s, and were followed by series such as True Blood and The Vampire Diaries. The novel Dracula also used werewolf mythology. The first film to feature a werewolf was Werewolf of London in 1935. Werewolves also appeared, in a sympathetic role, in The Wolf Man in 1941. Werewolves appear in popular novels such as the Harry Potter series, Twilight, Terry Pratchett's work, and the Shiver series. Strengths. Vampires are often portrayed as immortal creatures. In some tales, they can fly or turn into bats. Werewolves are associated with super strength and speed. They are typically considered almost entirely invulnerable. Weaknesses. Vampires are often portrayed as sensitive to sunlight and garlic. They are also vulnerable to holy objects such as crosses and holy water. According to how they are created. Vampire origins vary from culture to culture. In Slavic and Chinese stories, any corpse that was jumped over by an animal might become a vampire, as might anybody with a wound that had not been treated with boiling water. In modern Western tales, people typically become vampires either after another vampire drinks their blood, or, more commonly, after they drink the blood of a vampire themselves. Folklore suggested that people could become werewolves by removing clothing and putting on a belt of wolfskin, or drinking rainwater out of a wolf's footprint. 19th century fiction established the idea that new werewolves are created when a werewolf bites her. Werewolves, or lycanthropes, are mythological humanoid creatures that can shapeshift into a wolf-like creature either on purpose or due to a curse. They often turn into werewolves involuntarily on the full moon. Traditional werewolf folklore says that even in human form, werewolves' eyebrows meet at the bridge of the nose, that they have curved fingernails, low-set ears and a swinging stride. Commonly, werewolves in wolf form are indistinguishable from real wolves, but they can be portrayed as larger. Characteristics of werewolves and vampires. Vampires are mythological creatures that feed on the blood of living creatures. In previous eras, vampires were often described as bloated and dark in color. Since the Victorian era, they have typically been presented as charismatic and sophisticated predators. They have fangs which they use to drink blood, and typically have a human-esque appearance. They typically cannot come out in the daytime, and so are nocturnal.